Hi guys, hi everyone. Welcome to Class Rebels Founder to Founder. I am Brooke Harley, the CEO and founder of Class Rebel, and I'm here with Kim Evans, the founder of Just Her Rideshare. And Kim and I met in class. She came to a mini class and then she came to a full class, Fundraising 101. And her experience really struck me. It was clear that she'd had some experience building businesses. Her questions were just so pointed and detailed, and you could tell that she'd been in it. And so I wanted to bring Kim on to the Founder to Founder series because she's working on a really interesting company that I want you guys to hear about, like the whys behind it. And I think she's just such an interesting person, full of intelligence and confidence and vision. And I would love to talk about just rideshare because just her, because I think it's something, when I heard it, I'm like, wow, so necessary. So welcome, Kim. Thank you for coming on the show. I was wondering, can you tell us a little bit of your background personally and just her rideshare story? I mean, how did this start? Why do you believe it's a necessary answer to what's out there today?
Well, first of all, Brooke, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to sort of be having a conversation with you. I think you're so super cool, and I love so enjoyed your class. So I'm really grateful that I've had that journey and that experience with you. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I come from humble beginnings. I grew up in a home where there were a lot of challenges, and it was a real struggle to even finish school and try to go to community college, and sort of worked my way really hard to sort of get to where I am today. And I'm so grateful for that experience because it's made me who I am. My background, I have over 20 years of business experience. My husband and I, we share a couple of companies together, engineering consulting. We have a logistics company. And I also had a customer support company that I faded out a little bit last year, sort of cut back so that I could fully focus on just her rideshare. I was introduced to the business itself because of my business background and acumen with my former co-founder. And I love to tell the story because it's very personal. It's a challenge for me. It was a situation that really broke me starting out. Of course, we all know when you start out with a co-founder, it doesn't always end well. But she came because she had an idea and had been thinking about it a little over a year, but didn't know how to pull it together. And so we joined forces, and I sort of structured the company and sort of taught her sort of the business side of building the company and setting it up. And about 10 minutes into the project, she decided that she no longer wanted to move forward. And I was devastated because I was excited about having a co-founder and all of that. But I was already in, I'd already started to see the vision of the company and what it could be. And so I decided after much prayer that I would continue solo. I knew there was an opportunity for me to build this business because, for one, I was one of those women that had never and have never taken a ride share without my husband because there was a fear factor or being uncomfortable with riding with men that I didn't know. So I thought there has to be another market for this situation. And as we started to dig deeper, we found that there was actually a market for it. So that's how the birth of Just Her Rideshare started. We just sort of revamped everything. And literally in 30 days, we were kind of up and moving. So that's how it all started.
Okay. And are there, did you guys start the company? Were there like stats on what was happening with women, like, in the regular rideshare programs, like in terms of, assaults or scares or like surveys on how people really felt about it? I mean, what was happening there?
So we knew that Uber and Lyft had put out their reports, over 10,000 reported assaults against women from 2017 to 2019. One of the stories that sort of drove me and kept me up at night a lot was Samantha Josephson, the student at the University of South Carolina, who jumped in what she thought was her Uber vehicle, was abducted and brutally murdered. That's only an hour and 15 minutes away from me. My son played baseball at the University of South Carolina, one of their campuses. And I followed that story. I followed her parents all the way to Congress to getting Sammy's Law passed. And I thought, you know, this is a problem. And why is no one addressing this problem? And as we started to dig deeper, we found that there were other women that said, well, hey, I've just never had a choice. I do it. When I do it, I do think about safety. We did find in our customer discovery that women viewed safety as perpetrated crime safety differently. And so we had to figure out who our segment was. But all women told us that they were very cautious, that had they had an opportunity to choose, that they would choose because it just felt more comfortable. It was nothing against men. We weren't discriminating. We knew that all men were not, monsters or anything. That's never been our goal. It's not our goal to even shine a light that way. We just wanted to provide a safe alternative rideshare where women get to choose who they want to transport them as well as ride with them. Because we also found that a lot of women said, I do this as a side hustle. Like I would do this, but I'm afraid. I don't want to be picking up someone at 11 at night that I don't know.
Absolutely, totally. Even in the middle of the day. I mean, when I think about, if I would ever do it, as, testing it out even as a side hustle, it's like I would never, especially after dark, I would never put myself in the situation where I'm driving men I don't know. Like I just wouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm taking them. I don't know what people have had to drink. Like I would definitely feel
Yes.
like I'm at risk, especially because your focus is on the road and you know what I mean? So I do think like it's interesting. Your idea is so interesting from a safety perspective for women
Yes.
and being transported safely, but also opening up more economic doors for women
Yes.
to do this. I actually think if you were competitive on price, women would switch right over. I mean, why not? Like,
Yes.
why not?
And it's interesting you would say that, Brooke, because we knew that we were going into a multi-billion-dollar industry as a very small fish in a big pond. Our goal was to never compete with the heavy hitters straight up and down. We knew that there was a market that we could cover. In asking women in our interviews, there were some women that told us they would actually pay a little more to have that option. So there was sort of a pathway to some premium service. For example, some of the services that we will be able to offer will be um, sort of a premium, almost like a personal driver. If you're traveling a route, the same route every week, every day, then we've got you covered. Like we're going to lock someone in and make sure you can get that driver every time.
Totally. Kim, I actually think women pay a safety surtax all the time.
Absolutely.
Right? When you think about if you're a single female, if I want to go somewhere, travel for the weekend, I got to pick a hotel,
Yes.
right? But oftentimes when I'm online trying to figure it out, say I'm going to a city like Las Vegas or Miami where you can have that party scene,
Yeah.
and I've been in situations where I don't want to be that I don't want to be in. And so, I pay more for hotels because I know that I will be safer there, right? So women are paying a safety surtax all the time.
All the time.
So I'm not surprised that you said that, but I never thought of it.
Yeah, we've done the research because most people, when we introduce this idea, the first thing they think is Uber and Lyft. Okay. And then some of the women, we had to bring them to a level of awareness. Because we had some women that say, yeah, it doesn't matter to me one way or another. Then they started thinking, we said, well, when you hop in a vehicle, do you let someone know where you are? Well, yeah, I do that. Do you get someone to track your ride? Yeah, I do that as well. So you're consciously thinking about safety because you've just never had an opportunity to choose. But now it becomes more aware. I had someone tell me, I was in a co-working space, and she said, when you came and you introduced your idea, she said, I thought this is never going to work. She said, but literally today, I hopped into one of the rideshare companies. She said, and I immediately thought of you. It was the worst ride I could have ever taken. It was the most unsafe place I could have ever been. And I thought of you. And I said, that is a segment where we're going to raise that level of awareness to women that we're here. Listen, it may not work for everyone, but we want you to know that you have the power to choose. You can choose it or not, but there are women who have told us that if you put it there, we will use it. In particular, with some of the social initiatives that we're going to partner with, domestic violence, women have to be relocated. There's a whole psychology around that I never even knew until getting into this to this business. That when women are assaulted, and they're looking for places to go to be relocated, a lot of times the first person on the scene is a police officer. Typically, it's a male. The women are very psychologically, you know, afraid even to have that transport. So I spoke with someone sort of who does relocation of women, and she was saying, "This is phenomenal." She said, "Just that area alone," and I didn't know it was that huge, would be amazing, because if you could partner with the community to be that first, person to transport them, it makes women feel, more comfortable, that they're not having to have experienced that perpetrated crime against a male, and then the first car that they get into is with a male, feeling uncomfortable. So there's all kinds of ways that we can sort of take care of our community of women, you know?
Yeah, totally. I love it. I wanted to move on to the next question because I'm like, we can go on forever talking
I
about this.
know.
But I wanted to ask you, when your co-founder decided to leave and you decided to be a solo founder and you said that you prayed on it, what do you think is the hardest part about being a solo founder and what are the
Oh,
good
wow.
parts?
So the hardest part about being a solo founder is I've always been a leader by nature. I feel like I'm sort of a teacher, not by trade or career, but by nature. Um, and I believe in partnership and I believe in team. So I was really excited to be able to develop camaraderie and to bounce ideas off of each other and to say that we've, achieved this together. It was devastating. And then as I began to travel this path, because mind you, I had never been down this path before. My husband and I have always bootstrapped our own businesses. This is the first time I've experienced raising capital. This is the first time I've experienced building sort of a management team. Because with my company, my call center business, they were also contractors. I'm used to dealing with contractors. I would just sort of get contracts and then subcontract work out. So it was really, really tough. But I knew it was meant to be, because I knew that the vision and the mission that I had beyond the rideshare itself, um, was pretty phenomenal. But it was devastating. The good thing I would say, even though it's been very difficult, Brooke, sort of doing it alone, I get to challenge myself, right? And everything falls on me, like whether good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah.
And right now, I get to experience what it's like to, not only be responsible for what's going to happen in the future, but to get it right, And if I can get it right with myself and make sure that I'm covering it as I'm going on this journey, then I know that I'll do a great job with getting it right with my team, with the people who are partnered with us. And so I think that puts me in a really good learning place right now. And to me, that's what's good about it, because I love the experience of learning. So,
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. That's, one thing, about being a solo founder, this time around, I find is that I don't have the thought partner, I don't have thought partners. And there was something, a joke that I heard and it stuck with me about starting companies. And when you have a co-founder, you just quit on different days.
yes,
So that's how you're able to keep going. But I'm like, if you're the solo founder and you quit, like it's over. So yeah, I hear you. It's on the other hand, I would say in my experience being a solo founder is that decisions can be made more quickly.
yes,
There's, if you've got a difference in opinion on so many things, then it takes forever to get something done. You might get over the finish line, but like, in a haggard kind of way. And
yeah.
so, that part is nice, being able to move quickly and when decisions need to be made.
That's very true, because I will tell you this, that I had a pit in my stomach. Just that intuition, that innermost part of us that sort of guides us. I had a pit in my stomach. And when we decided not to move forward, it went away. So I know what you're saying. Like, there were some real challenges with getting jobs done, completed, and moving forward. And I was frustrated because I knew what it was like to build a business, and it was taking forever. And I knew there were some hurdles that we needed to get over in order to move forward. And literally, it just kind of went away. And after much prayer, I found myself right in the space where I knew I needed to be. So I agree with what you're saying with making those decisions and being able to move forward.
Yeah. Now, okay, so you've kicked off some of your fundraising. What's that experience been like for you? Is this your first time raising money from angels and VCs? What's the experience been like? Tell us your most embarrassing moment in a pitch.
So, yes, this is my first time. It's been very challenging. It's also been an eye-opening experience, right? So we've raised some, starting out, and we'll talk a little bit about that because that's been one of the things that's kind of just sort of blown my mind a little bit. Even though it wasn't like the check that we needed, it was a start, and it happened the first 30 days into sort of relaunching the business. But I will say learning, and I have to just say taking your class, and this is not a plug, right now,
The
but
Venmo's
it
on
is
the
the
way.
plug. It is a plug. I took so many notes and I learned so much because I had no idea, because I've never done it before, but it was very exciting to me. I wanted to learn because I knew no one ever knew. Like, I've literally pitched this business on a national platform with a couple of investors who have been following me. They had no idea that I knew nothing. I had no idea. I was so confident when I pitched. They thought I had been doing it for quite some time. I mean, I had a working knowledge and I knew enough, but your class sort of opened my eyes to so much. The most challenging and the most heartbreaking thing for me is just learning what was available to me and to women in particular, and then in particular to a Black founder, a woman. So I thought it was pretty sad. And I thought it was missed opportunities for the world to see the creativity and the businesses that we can bring as women and as Black women founder. Like, we have it. Like, they don't know, but we have it. And so that's been the most, I would say, the most challenge. Now, I will tell you this, that I am in the beginning stages of setting up our investors list, talking about our data rooms, getting that together, that pro forma girl. Okay,
Yep.
all due to you, right? So thank you so much for that. Class is amazing. I will be taking it again and again. But yeah, so we're in the beginning stages, and so we're kind of scoping out who we want to partner with. We know that all money is not good money, and all investors are not good investors. And so I learned that. I learned that from you and others, and so I'm getting prepared. But it has been a challenge, so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah. Well, join the club and, join the rejection club, join the cry club. But, I think it's a valuable experience. And the way I look at it is like, yes, the bias is extreme against women, people of color, like it's real. And I
Yes.
feel like it's one of the only places where it's allowed to live so openly. But
Yes.
it's a matter of, to me, there's a bigger picture that goes back a long way of who's allowed to control capital, who's allowed to risk capital, right?
Yes.
And who's not, and how society is segregated that way.
Yes.
So, I think for you and for me, we're, faces pressed against the glass right at this opening. And I don't know if you saw the reports that came out, but women's funding for Q3 of 2020 was way down year over year. So it's
Yes.
like we move forward, we step back, but I feel like it's still an exciting time to have your face pressed against the glass, because if we all stay there and keep breathing, I feel like little opportunities will come our
Yes.
way. We'll crack open that door. And for the people behind us, years
Yes.
later, it's going to make a difference. So I'm glad you're in this with me and we have these like stories to share. The last question I want to ask you, and it's my favorite question to ask everyone. What do you think is the most serendipitous, lucky thing that's happened to you since you started Just Her Rideshare?
That's a really great question. I love that. So I would have to say, for one, yeah, and I have to sort of preface it a little bit by saying I was walking one morning. I love listening to waterfalls when I walk. It's sort of my time to get my head together. And literally, whatever you believe, but I felt like it was, the Holy Spirit just sort of downloading in me, that I needed to get in position, that there was a movement going on that I had nothing about. I just started out, but it was almost a reminder, like I needed to get myself in position. Like just what you talked about, that there was an energy, there was a culture that was going to be more open to me. Like you said, not totally open, but more open to me than ever before. And I did that. I got in position and I was exposed to so much information and so much knowledge that I don't think I would have been privy to, had it not been for this time where women are, breaking through.
Hmm.
But I will tell you this, the first 30 days in is getting that first funding, like literally that first 25,000, that was non-dilutive funding, right? To
Right.
me, that blew my mind. But it was family, and it was like, okay, we believe in you. We know you can do it. You've done this before. We've watched you. We know you can do it. And so for me, that would have to be it. And then the second would have to be the amazing connections that I've made, and with people like you, and just showing up, to quality content and just learning, because I'm a student of this, and I'm learning as I go. And so I would have to say that would be number two, the most, exciting and, serendipitous thing that has happened, is that I've been in a position to sort of reap the benefits of this great experience. And I know it's going to be, what's going to catapult me to the next level. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I mean, that's the one thing to me when entrepreneurship gets hard is, the gift of the serendipity to me that happens when you're out there putting something out in the world. It's like you and I meet, right? I meet tons of interesting people doing this, and it really is, I feel like I'm living a full life when I'm creating something and putting it out there for the world and seeing how the world reacts, and the people that you meet along the way. So thank you for sharing that story. Thank you for all the time today. I cannot wait to follow Just Her Rideshare and
Yes.
see what happens, because I think, if you can get that funding and get this off the ground,
Yeah.
I don't have any doubt in my mind people would use this. Of course they would. And it's
Absolutely.
going to take a woman to launch it. And every person that's done rideshare that I can see is male.
Yes.
And, this is a service that deserves to live.
It
So,
does, and we're going to do it. If anybody can do it, we are going to do it. And I always talk in forms of we, because even though I'm a solopreneur, I see
mm,
the we, I see the partnership, and I love it. One last thing I do want to say that we're super excited about is that in our mobile, app, in our technology we've created, because not only are we a profit driven company, we're also a socially driven company as well. We care. We've created Her Hub, which is a community portal for women to engage and connect. So riders to riders, drivers to drivers, and also, community initiatives. And so we're super excited about that because it gives us another platform. We don't want to muddy the water with where the direction of the company is going, but we wanted to be able, we feel if we're building this community of women taking care of women, then we want to just do more than give you a ride. We want to make sure that we can drop some knowledge, or we can support you or offer a resource while you're doing it. So we are so excited about Her Hub as well. So
I love it. I love that. That's such, it just reminds me when I used to take Uber pools. In the early days of Uber pool, when it just launched, people would like talk in the car and they'd get to know
yeah,
each other and all that kind of stuff. So I totally see that, as like an additional perk of using the service. Kim,
yeah.
thank you so much for being on the show today. And I can't wait to be in touch for 2021 and see how you go and ultimately take a ride. Thanks for
Thank you
being with
so
us.
much for having me, Brooke. I really enjoyed the conversation.